Smooth aim. It's something that looks super aesthetically pleasing, and when performed correctly, is perhaps the most optimal way to aim in CS2. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into smooth aim, what it looks like, how to practice it, and most importantly, what techniques the pros use to make aiming so much easier. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about what smooth aim actually is. Generally, smooth aim is where we take the most optimal path between two targets. Now, it sounds simple, but CS2 is a game where you could be peeking in an angle or holding an angle, and in both of these, movement is involved. So it's a lot of different factors to consider, but let's simplify it to this. Smooth aim is taking a direct path from your current crosshair position to your opponent's head. So let's take a look at what smooth aim looks like. So here we have Donk, probably one of the best aimers in the world, against an eco in middle. He finds a really nice quick kill onto Carrigan, but this second kill is the one to focus on. You'll notice that his initial crosshair position is nowhere near the target's head, but he makes a super quick adjustment directly to the opponent's head to find the kill. And players like Donk, Nico, Rops, Alish, and many more are experts in this particular field of aiming. So that's what it's supposed to look like. But the reality is, most of us have minor inaccuracies in our aim, whether it's over flicking, under flicking, or simply just not picking the right target. Realistically, no one's gonna have perfect aim most of the time, but with proper training, we can get most of the way there. So with that said, let's consider a couple of other aspects that are really important to consider in aim: tension management and player visualization. Let's talk about tension management first, since this is something most people get wrong. Imagine you're in a one-on-one clutch and you spot the opponent. Normally, you're going to just quickly adjust as soon as possible to spray him down. This exact situation often leads to what's called the death grip, where you grip your mouse as tightly as possible to supposedly accurately adjust your opponent, but this is actually a very bad habit, and I'll explain why. When you grip your mouse, you utilize the muscles in your forearm, and the problem with this is that your muscles vary in strength throughout the day, and over time may change significantly. This is why you want to avoid a high tension grip, because you utilize these muscles in your forearm when they're really quite inconsistent. You want to grip your mouse with just enough tension to be able to control it, and there's a delicate balance here. You can kind of think of it as holding an egg in your hand, and you don't want to crack the egg, but you just want to hold it just enough where you can actually hold it up and control where you're placing it. You want to remain at that level of tension as much as possible to avoid cracking the egg. Now, let's talk about player visualization. Something you need to think about when taking any duel in CS2 is, how is my opponent going to be peeking me? We have an entire video that goes in depth onto this particular topic, but here's the summary. If the opponent knows where you are, you're not going to have a lot of time to react to when they peek you. And if you have the upper hand against your opponent, you probably have a bit more time to react to how they're going to be peeking you. This also affects how you're going to place your crosshair on an angle. If they wide swing you, obviously you want your crosshair to be a little bit wider from the angle, as opposed to if they don't know where you are and they're walking, you probably hold your angle a little bit closer to the edge. Another thing to consider when an opponent peeks you is, how much time do you actually have to react to them? And this amount of time is kind of on a spectrum where you're fully reacting to the shot and where you kind of have a lot of time to react and place your crosshair accurately. So let's go through a couple of examples. If you know where your opponent is and they don't know where you are, you probably have the upper hand, thus you can probably take a lot of time to adjust to their head. This is where you don't really want to fully rely on pure reaction. You want to take your time and place an accurate shot. If neither of you are kind of ready for an engagement and it kind of just happens, this is where it's kind of a bit of a balance, because they're not fully prepared to react to you and you're not fully prepared to react to them. So you want to place an accurate shot, but you still want to be pretty quick about it. This, of course, would be in the middle of the spectrum. You have some time, but not too much. In cases where both you and your opponent know where each other are, or your opponent just knows where you are, this is a case where you're fully relying on reaction and hoping for the best in the accuracy department. So this is a situation we kind of want to avoid if possible, but it's still important to consider because it happens pretty often. So now that we understand these training concepts, it's time to take our aim to the next level with some training. Now, obviously, we're going to be using Refrag for our training, since I believe it's the best CS2 training platform out there, and they have some really great tools that we can use today. If you want to try Refrag, you can use use the code SMOOTHAIM for 15% off your Refrag subscription. So let's hop into the training. To start off, we're going to be using the Refrag pop mode to warm up our aim. This game mode is great since we are using the completely accurate sensitivity and FOV that you would use in CS2. Basically, you just want to try and make a direct path to each target at a reasonable speed. And the main thing here is to focus on keeping your aim smooth and direct. Try not to overflick or underflick, and try to make the path as straight as possible between the targets. If you find yourself missing, slow down and then pick up the pace again over time. The next game mode we're going to use is aimbots, and obviously this is similar to some other workshop maps that you might have seen, but the key difference here is that we're using the actual maps available in CS2. This helps us get used to the actual adjustments you would have to make in game, rather than just shooting bots at the same head level every time. This will help you translate what you practice here into real in-game scenarios. Again, like the pop mode, focus on making direct paths between the targets. Try not to overflick and keep a steady pace. Bring your speed up over time, and again, if you start missing, reset, start from a slower pace, and go again. The final game mode we will use is Crossfire, and this is our staple game mode at Refrag, and one of the best parts about this mode is that we automatically adjust the difficulty of the bots to match your skill level. So as you get better, the game mode will also get better to keep challenging you to improve. The way Crossfire works is you will spawn into a position and you will have to quickly react to the bots peeking you. This is a challenging game mode, and the key is to maintain a high accuracy. Crossfire trains you against scenarios that can and will happen in a real game, so keep that in mind. You have to be both quick and accurate, and on top of that, Crossfire trains you to prioritize targets and visualize how someone is going to peek you. This is the ultimate game mode to really take your aim to the next level and make it nice and smooth. So that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to try out Refrag using the link in the description, and leave a comment as well on what you would like to see us talk about next. Thanks for watching, and peace out.